Hi, my name is Dan Whitehead, and just doing a video here to basically kind of go through a recent shoot that I did where along the way I took behind the scenes. I had to kind of one-man band this and basically be my own BTS photographer and the main photographer with the subject Jackie Mull. And it was the first time we've worked together before. We knew each other a little bit from a local theater that we both go to, but this was the first time that we had worked together in this capacity. So it was a lot of fun to have her just bring some stuff and kind of go with what she had, what I had as far as sets and lighting and all that kind of stuff, and then create some really cool stuff. So we're going to jump into my desktop here, and we'll go through some behind the scenes images first, and then take a look at some of the photos that we finished with. This is the first behind the scenes picture. This was right a few minutes after she got there. We kind of looked at some examples and just kind of talked about what we were looking to do, hoping to get out of the shoot, things like that. And then basically, I kind of explained what I can do and where we can go with it. So just kind of looking around here, we have my Canon R5, which they're the two cameras that are being used to film this video. So there's that. And then I've been using a lot of vintage lenses recently. I just find that it takes the sharpness off. Like, I have obviously some modern RF glass. I have the Trinity 24-70, 15-35, 70-200. I also have the RF small 35 lens, which is really cool. But ultimately, I don't know, I like what these lenses render, especially the 50, which is what's on here. I think for this shoot bounced mostly between this 50 and the 100 that's down here. If you see this cable that's coming out, that is basically the cable to fire the flash. I was having a bit of a moment trying to figure out why I wasn't wirelessly sending signal from, I have a trigger, which you can actually see down here. For some reason though, it just was not communicating, and I of course figured it out at the end of the shoot when I was done. But regardless, we made it work with the cable, so it wasn't an issue. And then I'm also tethering using tether tool cable right into Capture One, which I had recently started using and really enjoy. But I've also used Lightroom and Photoshop, and I still use those sometimes as well. For lighting, Westcott FJ400 with the softbox that comes with it. It's sort of that backpack kit, which is down here. And I had a grid on it just to really focus the light. And the backdrop is made by Clot Studios. Like I said, I'll show you the final images towards the end, and I'll re-go over some of this stuff. And this is just in my second bedroom here in my apartment. I live by myself, so it makes it easy to have a home studio. So this is just a different angle a little bit. As you can see, we took the grid off on this one just to kind of give more spill to the background, but also just a less defined light on her face. I really wanted that soft, almost like window light, which of course we have this window right here that we can kind of mimic. But yeah, either way, we really just wanted to have that like even softer light. And I think this is the 100mm on here now that I've been switching back and forth between. Okay, so this is a change of setup. I moved the BTS camera and kept it with the 400 the whole time. I have an FJ200 as well. And I think that comes in later on, but for the most part we were just doing single light. And for this, she changed the outfit, and then this background is literally just thrown over the other background, and it's one of those paint drop cloths that you can get at Home Depot for pretty cheap. So just a way to show that it doesn't have to be super expensive what you use as a background. And then just for character, I have my Frank Sinatra poster, which that was in my home office when I lived at home still, and it just felt nice to keep the tradition going and having it in my studio. I can see I'm using my 35mm. So I have, like I said, I have vintage lenses. So I have a 28, I have a 35, I have a 50, a 100, and a 135. All of them are 2.8 except for the 50, which is a 1.8, and that one and the 100 are actual Canon FD lenses. The other ones are like third-party FD lenses. So here, switching to the 100 again, kind of doing a portrait orientation. I always wanted to do this like series of photos of photographers when they're taking pictures, because I always just think it's funny. We have to do like this squinty eye kind of face, and a lot of times we're in like squatting positions and things like that, but haven't gotten around to doing that. So anyway, we're still tethered to the computer. We're also still tethered to the light. Like I said, I didn't really have time to play around and figure out what was wrong with it, and it ended up being an easy fix, as it always goes, but regardless. Okay, so this is just me flying in a V-flat on the black side. I kept it, you know, pretty simple, and what we're going for is, and you'll see in some of the images, is this sort of backlight, right? So she's going to be a bit more silhouetted, and then you have this nice rim light coming from the strobe, again with the softbox. I really like soft light. Hard light's good too, depending on the final image you're going for, but I just think soft light has a really beautiful effect. And it was really nice on her hair. She, in real life, has like a pinkish colored hair. So some of the color images we do at the end, it really shows off, but all the BTS is in black and white. Okay, so this one, this is a piece of like velvety, sort of black cloth material that a friend of mine gave me. Once again, just kind of threw it over the original backdrop just to keep it easy, move quicker, single light stand, all that kind of stuff. This time doing a soft key from camera right, her left, just to mix it up a little bit. And as you can see, we have the V-flat kind of folded off to the side. I tend to get a little messy when I shoot sometimes, just kind of putting things just out of the way for us to work and then worry about cleaning up later. I'm sure other people are like that too, but that's just how I am. Similar idea, so we kind of brought in this FJ200 here, although ultimately, because of the issue with the trigger, I'm not really sure this ended up having a lot of effect on the image. The images still came out really cool, but I realized that the FJ200 had the modeling light on, but I'm not sure it was doing much in the end. Okay, so I'm actually sitting on the floor down here. It's hard to see, obviously I'm out of the frame, but and I'm firing all these shots with a remote. So one of the cameras, like I said, was just kind of put off to the side. I had it on the Bluetooth remote setting, and then I was able to just fire. And a lot of times I had to fire it like a second before I pulled the trigger on the main camera so that the timing would be correct with the flash, because otherwise it would trigger after the flash and then it kind of defeated the purpose. So anyway, this one's a bit more, it's sort of a very wide clamshell, if we even want to count that, but anyway. So this backdrop is really cool. It's blue normally, and it was huge. I actually recently just cut it in half because it was so long. Another backdrop from a friend of mine, same one that gave me the velvet. I really enjoy it. I think it's really cool. So I use that a lot, but again, since it's so big, it was hard to use. But hopefully now that it's not so big, I'll be able to use it a lot more and travel with it and be able to fold it up pretty easy. All right, so that's it on the BTS. So I'm gonna go over, I'm gonna just show you some of the final images. One thing I forgot to mention is after that shoot in my studio, we came into this room, actually, this is my living room, and we just did a quick shoot right here by the window, just using natural light, and I used the 50mm. Because it was kind of quick and right at the end, I didn't do any BTS shots, but they do come up first in the order here that I'm going to show you, just because it was the way they got edited. So these are the natural light photos. As you can see, just using window light, you have that window light in the eye, which is really great. And just using that 50mm wide open at f1.8, really shallow depth of field. And luckily with Canon, the new mirrorless Canon cameras, you know, and a lot of these cameras, you have focus assist, which is great. So I keep mine in black and white anyway, whether the image turns to black and white or not. I can see the focus peaking better in black and white, so I just use that knowing I'm gonna shoot raw and it'll go back to color anyway if that's what I want. But for these, I kind of knew I was going to do black and white anyway, just felt right to it. But we do have a couple color ones as well. So here you go, here's the color one. As you can see, like I said, kind of that pinkish, almost purple hair, really got the show. And I just let her kind of move around, soft movements, things like that. And all the light is just these windows that are behind me here. Just, I opened up the blinds a little bit and just let the light come in. It was, you know, maybe 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so this was that first image where the light, the key light was off to that one side with the grid on it. And, you know, on that kind of gray textured backdrop. Sort of simple, you know, just sort of letting the light wrap around, have that little bit of that Rembrandt triangle that everyone always likes to get. A couple things I would probably want to change if I could. Just try to be a little bit softer on the highlights, just so there's not as many maybe hot spots. But overall, I'm pretty proud of the images, all of them. But yeah, I love the way the light catches in the eye. Big fan of catch lights in the eyes. In fact, I did a shoot one time and I pointed that out to the subject I was working with, and I told her jokingly that the image is only good if you have a catch light in the eye. So we kept looking for those throughout our shoot. Okay, so this is just, again, same lighting, but for something, I just felt like this should be in color. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I just sort of go with what feels right to me, or what feels right for the moment, things like that. And as you can see, I mentioned that the background is gray, which it is, but what's nice about this gray is you can kind of skew it, so you can have it look a little more green, or in this case blue, or whatever you want. And I tend to like a blue or a cooler image in colors, so I kind of went for more of that blue look. This one, I think we started taking the grid off for it, just to have that more wraparound light. You can see the Rembrandt triangle isn't as pronounced. It's a bit more even on the skin. Still tend to be brighter on this side, but you do have a little more brightness on that side as well. This was sort of that in-between moment where she was adjusting her hair, but I kind of snapped anyway. There was a couple times where I would just keep snapping, and you never know what you get, and we kind of like this moment of like something in between. Again, just another color one. Same kind of thing, but this one's great because you can really see the catch light in the eye. Both eyes, you can see it's a big soft box. That's a good way for those who are still figuring out lighting. I mean, I am too. It's a good way to reverse engineer lighting on a picture that you really like. You just look at the catch light in the eye, and you can see if it's like a rounder, bigger soft light, or if it's a square or a hard light, or or a window maybe. It's at least a good starting point to see if you're trying to recreate, which is a good way to learn lighting, is start by recreating and then of course building from there. Again, another moment of kind of just fixing and sort of a real moment, not pose, just a candid shot, if you will. So with this one, we didn't grab any BTS of it, but it was basically, I lowered the light. I did it to kind of mimic window light coming from camera left. Whether that works, I don't know, but it works for me. I like it. Again, soft focus, but I think it's okay. I think it adds to the image, and especially being black and white, it has a bit of a filmic look to it that everyone seems to like. Okay, so again, as you can see, I'm actually using the V flat here on camera right to just fill in some shadows and give an overall more even sort of look to the image. So this was that image where we had the strobe on camera right and just sort of washing over her whole face. We didn't want too dramatic, just simple lighting. This was like the first one I think I worked on in post. We just really liked this one, and ended up posting it like that same night. This one as well. This is one of my favorites from the session. Just really liked how everything came together. I like that she's in the center, the expression, everything. Some people would be kind of nitpicky about the background being wrinkly or not, you know, perfectly smooth, or even seeing off the background, but I don't know. I've come to really enjoy sort of the textured look and the sort of imperfections in photos and backdrops and walls and things like that. Okay, so this was that image before that I said where we put it on the one side and we really wanted to create like a shadow side. You can really see that Rembrandt triangle. You have a bit more of a harder source lighting her face and shoulder and things like that, giving the hair a really nice hair light, but still, again, catch light in the eyes. So this one we just really liked. She really liked this dress. I think she said it was her mom's that she borrowed from, and I like the way it kind of blended with her hair and stuff like that. So this next couple, I believe, are mostly color, just to really let those colors on the dress and her hair come out. And of course, again, out of focus, I probably wouldn't necessarily share this one. I definitely wouldn't get it printed, but I still like it. I think there's still a place for it, and ultimately it's what you want to do with your photos, right? If you want to do all your photos out of focus and that's your style, go for it. Don't let anybody stop you. I, for one, like pictures in focus for the most part. Again, a couple happy accidents are okay, but regardless, this one obviously back in focus. Just kept the light where it was, threw up that black velvet. One thing I was kind of hoping using that FJ200 that I said ultimately didn't do anything. My hope was to try to use it to put a little light in the background to kind of get the sparkle from the velvet. It had a little bit of like a sheen to it. I was hoping it would kind of pop a little bit, but it ended up being a little dark. So this one, she just threw on this pink sweater, I guess it would be, and just more ways to show color in the image. Another reason why I left it in color is it just felt like with this sweater and the dress and her hair, it would have been a disservice to put it in black and white. So this was our final series before we came out here. So this is the last one in the studio, and this one is the one where I said I was sitting on the ground for, and it was based off of a violet bean photo that we found that we really enjoyed. And so we just borrowed these cushions right from my couch here in my living room. I stacked 2 or 3 of them up. She sat on them and we snapped away. And these cowboy boots with the rest of the outfit just really, I thought, tied it together, and the way her hair kind of fell and the blue and just all of it together, I thought the pink and blue really complemented each other well. So another image just went a little wider. I wanted to show those boots a bit more. Some people are gonna probably say, why'd you cut the feet off? It wasn't my intention. But again, this one, it called for a portrait orientation versus horizontal, I felt. So, because otherwise you get way too much of the sides, and I didn't want that. So you make a sacrifice, you make a choice, and that was my choice. So this one we just changed one more time. I had her go back to that original outfit because I felt like with the blue jeans, the blue background, like it felt right with that. Almost sort of that 90s look about it. And again, we just did the no shoes look just to kind of bring it all together, and did a couple photos like that. All right, so this was just another one. You know, sometimes you go back in after a day or so and look at your photos again, and this is one of those examples where I kind of found this one afterwards. Like, we had gone through and made some selects when she was still here, and then I went through on my own like a few days later and found this one, and just really like the way it turned out. Probably in the top 3 from my personal favorites of the shoot. Similar to this one, both are up there for me. You know, I did a lot of, in Capture One, I did a vignette to really, and a masking to really kind of draw your eye to her face. And of course, I brought down like her arms and her chest in Dodging and Burning. So like it really draws the focus to the face, and then with the eyes going to the brightest part of the image, you want to make sure that the face, at least for me, the face is the brightest part of the image, right? Where in the eyes. So I just brought the arms and the chest skin tone kind of down in the grade a little bit. Made that sort of vignette around with masking and Dodging and Burning, and just really focused in the image. So same with the latter one. And this is the last one. Again, it kind of goes with that collection from the beginning, but you know, we just shot for a minute or two just to sort of end on a nice easy note. Right before she left, I just grabbed the camera again, threw on the FD 1.8 at 1.8 wide open, and just grabbed a couple final shots. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and just kind of a look inside a shoot that I did recently. I'm hoping to do some more and kind of break them down, things like that, or try to get more BTS materials and talk about different types of gear and all that kind of stuff. But if you have any questions or thoughts or anything, you can jump down in the comments. If you could subscribe, that'd be great. And you know, you'll make sure you hit the bell, as they say, so that you get notified when there's new videos. And follow me on Instagram at Dan Whitehead Photo, and I'll see you.